time to cut off all communication with the outside world. Dust off your old VCR and gather your collection of mixtapes.
Then tease those bangs, put on your favorite pair of leg warmers. The nostalgia bug has bitten, and we're here to scratch the itch.
I'm Odell.
I'm Erin.
It's time to go back where we belong. Hello, kids. So today we're traveling back to October of 1971. This is before either of us were born.
Yes. We don't have a lot to talk about what we were doing.
As far as nostalgia. No, I was in my mama's belly though at this time. I was a 5-month-old fetus. So I was not at least even known.
Okay, that's nice. You were around.
Right,
you didn't have a good view, but you were around.
I was like somewhat in the world. I was still forming.
Yes. I was not even a thought. I will tell you what I was, though. My dad wanted a son and got one, so I was not wanted. I can tell you that. By my dad, at least. My mom wanted. She was like, I'm doing it till I get a girl. And if I have to get someone else to do it with me, then that's what's going to happen. So I was not a thought, but I know my dad wanted a boy. My mom wanted a girl.
Nice. Well,
so I guess they were talking about it then.
Right. But 7 years before?
Yeah, it's 7 years before. So I definitely was not. No, I was not a thought.
So this will be interesting because there's not a whole lot of nostalgia going on, but we can certainly look at some of the things that happened and maybe compare them to what, when we were growing up, maybe things that still influence the world. Who knows?
Okay.
Well, the first one on my list, as far as what was going on October 1st, 1971, Walt Disney World opened in Bay Lake, Florida. I thought it was open way before then for some reason.
No, I knew it was 70s. I knew it was after Walt's death.
Okay.
And I only knew it because I had watched a documentary or something on the theme parks. So that's the only reason. The other one, though, opened, I think, like in the 50s, didn't it?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that had a long time on it before Walt Disney World.
I think it took a while for Disneyland to take off and develop. And then they're like, ooh, we could capitalize on this and put one on the other coast.
I mean, Disneyland is one. Have you been to Disneyland?
I've been to both. Yeah.
You have. Disney World, I mean, just
trumps
kicks its ass.
100%.
It's just.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so much more.
It literally is a world. Because I'd gone to Disney World before I went to Disneyland. And when I walked into Disneyland, I was like, oh, that's it.
This is just like a regular, like a
theme park. It was like going
to
Astroworld or something. Yeah.
Well, but Astroworld was a perfect place in this universe. That should come back.
But it was like I walked in and I was expecting the castle. Is it Cinderella's castle that's in Disneyland?
Yeah, but it's Sleeping Beauty's castle. Cinderella's is at World.
And Cinderella's is huge. And like you walk into Disneyland and it's like, oh, that's like a house.
And it's the blue. But at Disneyland, it's the pink.
Yeah, it's much more condensed. Yeah.
She did not win in the castle race.
No shade. I still had fun at Disneyland. It was just Disney World was an experience, much more of an experience than Disneyland was.
Disneyland is like Magic Kingdom by itself.
Yeah. Well, now they have like California Adventure. Which I didn't go to. I only went to Magic Kingdom, and that was
I hear it's awesome.
Yeah, I would love to go visit. My cousin lives down there. And of course, our friend Leanne lives down there. I mean, plenty of people I could go visit and go to Disneyland with. It's not that far away. It's just.
You know that Texas is getting Universal up in Dallas.
I heard that. Yeah.
But it's going to be like family friendly.
Right. It's going to be like the Legos and the Seuss stuff.
Which I'm like, why didn't you? I would have given anything for that 10 years ago. That would have been amazing with my kids.
Right.
So I'm excited because it's still going to be like Magic Kingdom is for younger people, but I love every second of it. Right. So
I grew up on Disney stuff, like live action Disney, cartoon Disney, everything Disney. Like I know all of those movies. So it was an experience to go experience that live. And it was a whole nostalgia trip, just going to Disney World and seeing it.
So good.
Anyway, continuing on October 7th, The French Connection, directed by William Friedkin, who then went on to direct The Exorcist.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Have you watched the documentary about The Exorcist?
On The Exorcist?
By the way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was insane.
He's freaking nuts.
But
French Connection is on the top 100 list that we'll be covering.
Okay.
I love, it's known for that car chase.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in years. I remember liking it though. But it starred Gene Hackman, Roy Scheider, and Fernando Rey, and it premiered in the US. It also won the Academy Award for Best Picture in 1972.
Totally deserved.
October 8th, John Lennon released his mega hit single, Imagine.
Adam's favorite song ever, and my uncle's ever.
On October 12th, Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice's rock opera, Jesus Christ Superstar, starring Jeff Fenholt and Ben Vereen, opened at Mark Hellinger Theater in New York.
Ben Vereen opened that. That is in my top 5 ever.
It ran for 711 performances.
Nice.
On October 20th, Melvin Van Peebles' musical Ain't Supposed to Die a Natural Death opened at the Barrymore Theater. It ran for 325 performances. I've never even heard of that.
What?
Yeah. I called that out because we had the white person and then the black person's musicals that opened around the same time. And, you know, the Jesus one.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I will say the Jesus one is ridiculous and amazing. And that like kind of kicked off the rock operas. Yeah. I'm curious about this other one to see what type of music it was.
Right. On October 21st, and I just call this out, kind of going along with rock operas in a way, Nobel Prize for Literature was awarded to Pablo Neruda. And I call that out because of Rent with Pablo Neruda too.
Oh, yeah. I never knew who Pablo Neruda was. Yeah. Never even thought to look it up.
And then October 31st, a revival of Leonard Bernstein, Betty Comden, and Adolph Green's musical On the Town opened at Imperial Theater and ran for 65 performances.
Oh,
that one did not do well.
They did not want a revival of that, apparently. Nope. It's a good show.
At this time, Richard Nixon was the president of the United States. The movie The Omega Man was at the top of the box office. Edward Heath was the prime minister of the United Kingdom. And as far as fashion went, so we're in the early 70s, so the hippie look from the 60s was still popular. Mm-hmm. For the women, there were for men and women, clothing items, tie-dye shirts, bell-bottoms. For women, mini skirts, gauchos, Mexican blouses. And men were wearing dark satin shirts, kind of like the discos with colors, ethnic-looking tunics. I don't know what that means. Ethnic-looking. I was like, I was like, why would you call anything ethnic-looking? Like it's just a tunic. I mean,
no matter what, it doesn't sound good.
Sounds kind of racist in a bit.
Correct, exactly.
Tweed sports jackets and turtlenecks were a big thing. Usually wearing them together.
Oh my God. And think about how hot that was with your satin shirt. You'd get all sweaty. Yeah. And then your tweed jacket. Are you, you gotta be kidding.
No. If you were to travel back to this day, I love these tidbits. Notable figures like J. Edgar Hoover, Jackie Robinson, Janet Monroe, and Harry S. Truman would still be alive.
Who's Janet Monroe?
I don't know. She was just on this list. Evidently, she's worth noting because she was on this list. I guess I should have Googled her.
Janet Monroe. Okay. Really well, the other ones, that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as music goes, I kind of remember some of these songs, maybe hearing them at some point in time. They were before my time. So for our playlist this week, I've managed to dig through the top 40 and find a couple of songs that I could add to our playlist that wouldn't bring it to a screeching halt. And then I told you to just grab one from the 80s so we can keep the 80s thing going. So I'm going to start with the top 10. At number 10, it was If You Really Love Me by Stevie Wonder.
Okay. No.
Number 9, the theme from Shaft by Isaac Hayes was
Damn.
Do you remember that one?
I do remember that one.
And number 8, we had Sweet City Woman by the Stampeders.
Okay.
Don't know any of that. Number 7, Go Away Little Girl by Donny Osmond, or Go Away Donny Osmond.
I want to add that to my playlist. Go on.
Number 6, Do You Know What I Mean by Lee Michaels. Don't know that.
I don't know her.
No.
Or him.
Number 5, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down by Joan Baez.
That sounds familiar.
It does. Number 4, A Little Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves by Cher.
Oh, nice.
Number 3, Yo-Yo by the Osmonds. So we had Donnie at number 7 and the whole Osmond gang at number 3.
Okay.
At number 2, we had Superstar, Bless the Beasts and Children by the Carpenters.
And bless the beasts and children. Okay.
Both of them. Like, just bless everybody.
Like, just bless them all.
Bless the rabid dogs.
Those adults, though. Fuck you.
And at number 1, we had Maggie May, A Reason to Believe by Rod Stewart.
Okay.
So to the playlist, I am going to add, as we mentioned, Imagine by John Lennon. I feel like that would fit on our playlist.
That fits in any decade. I like it.
And then the other one I'm going to add was at number 18 this week, which I also feel like, because it had a resurgence in the 90s, was Ain't No Sunshine by Bill Withers.
Oh, that, again,
totally
that
fits,
works in any decade. Yes.
So those are my two.
I picked one that went along with this movie.
Okay.
Every Breath You Take.
Yeah.
Right? Immediately, I was like, I get to choose from the 80s. Obviously, that's the song.
Yeah, Psycho Stalker song for sure. Okay, awesome. And as I've stated before, or if you're new to the podcast and you don't know, we have playlists that we add to every week, and you can get links to I almost said attack those. Find those on Apple Music and Spotify.
Attack them with your love.
You can subscribe to them, I guess, on Spotify or Apple Music. You can find those on our website at backwherewebelong.com. So, moving into some other things that were going on around this time, I looked into books that were released.
Okay. I bet some good ones.
There were 3 that say they released on January 1st, 1971 on Goodreads. I don't know if they just put it because they didn't know the exact date or if they actually, all 3 of these did release on the 1st of the year. Okay. But the first was Dr. Seuss's The Lorax.
Oh.
The next was Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim, which was the basis of The Secrets of Nim. Yeah. And I guess it was a series of books.
Ever. Why isn't that on my 15? I got to replace whatever I did last time.
I keep getting movies that pop into my head. So I've made a OneNote where I can just, when I think of them, I put them on there so I can replace with those.
That is really smart.
Another one I remember reading in high school because it was very controversial for several years was Go Ask Alice. It was about drug addiction and young adults. And it was written by someone who was anonymous. And so it's supposed to be this anonymous journal of this girl who went down this path of drug addiction. But then several years later, they found who actually wrote it. And I think I could be misspeaking here, but it was all fiction. It wasn't a true story, but it was still like this very controversial. It was about like drugs and sex and like, and thinking back to the 70s when that was prevalent, and then cautionary tale into the 80s. I feel like parents didn't want you reading that because, the 80s was all about don't do drugs, don't have sex, don't talk about it either.
Yeah, it was.
And then on May 1st, 1971, speaking of The Exorcist, the book was released. It was written by William Peter Blatty.
Nice.
That book is
a terrible last name. I haven't read the book.
The book is like just as scary as the movie.
Does the movie do a good adaptation?
It does, from what I remember. I read this in high school. So it's been a while, but it terrified me. And I read it after I'd seen the movie, but
okay.
I saw the movie when I was like 11 or 12.
I just showed, my 12-year-old daughter, I just showed it to her this last weekend because it was like, she loves horror movies. And I said, if you're going to love horror movies, you have to see some of like the greats.
Right.
So I made her watch that and The Shining, and I made her. I didn't like sit there
like
and Clockwork Orange her, like spread open her eyeballs. I didn't do that. But she was dying to like watch these classic, horror movies. And then we ended with Saw, which.
Oh God, that was horrible.
So bad.
It's like, it's bad, but it's creepy too.
It's
one of those
all
that's
of
so
it.
bad,
Like I don't.
Good, kind of.
Yes. It's one of those where the story and the idea is great.
Mm-hmm.
And the execution is almost there, but the acting is so bad.
Yeah. And then we also had Hunter S. Thompson's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, released on July 7th, 1971. And then the full collection of the Little House on the Prairie books was first sold as a box set in 1971 as well.
Did you read all of that? You read all of those, didn't you?
I read most of them. And I used to watch Little House on the Prairie
I never got into it, and I regret that.
I remember there was one episode where this girl got like raped or something by this guy in a mask. It was like one of the darkest episodes. There was warnings every time there was a commercial break, like warn your kids, hide your kids, hide your wife, like type of warning. Like, don't watch this episode if you're easily triggered because it's not appropriate for young people. And of course, I was at my grandparents' house. They had it on. They weren't watching it, but I did, and it scarred me.
Oh my gosh! I cannot believe.
Yeah.
I just saw that. Blinked. Did you see that?
Yes. It's telling you to go watch.
We're having like excessive heat down here right now. It's ridiculous. So I wonder if we're going to start having like rolling blackouts.
All right. Going on, the Academy Awards were held on April 15th of 1971 this year. Best Picture went to Patton. Never seen it. Best Actor went to George C. Scott for Patton. Best Actress went to Glenda Jackson for Women in Love. I don't remember.
I don't even know that movie.
I don't either. Best Supporting Actor went to John Mills. I don't know what for. I actually did great notes. I wrote these down. And then we had Best Supporting Actress, Helen Hayes.
Okay.
And then Best Original
There's a theater named after her.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I don't know who she is.
And then the Best Original Score went to John Longenecker for Love Story. That song is iconic.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I haven't seen that. I watched that movie in college as well in a film class or something, which was.
I watched it once, probably 20 years ago, maybe, if that. No,
I mean, it's definitely from the 70s. I mean,
it's so from the 70s.
It was the original, like, I don't even know what to say. Like, it was this weepy tearjerker.
And
everyone loved it.
Very toxic relationship.
Yeah, it was. But
extremely.
It was like all everyone could talk about. And then there was a follow-up, like the dude, because the spoiler alert, the woman dies, she has cancer.
Yep.
And the dude, there's a follow-up because everyone loved the movie so much. They did a follow-up called something. I don't remember what it was, but he finds a new love and everyone boycotted it because they're like, how dare he move on from her?
Yes. That one has that famous line, love means never having to say you're sorry. Yeah. And I'm like, love means you best know how to say sorry.
Right.
Oh, so toxic. So terrible. Okay, go on.
Then on TV, we had All in the Family, The Flip Wilson Show, Marcus Welby, MD, Gunsmoke, Sanford and Son, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Here's Lucy, Hawaii Five-0, The Partridge Family, The Dick Van Dyke Show, Wonderful World of Disney, which was big forever, Bonanza, Laugh-In, The Carol Burnett Show, and The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour. So several of these I watched in, what's it called? Syndication.
And years later.
I loved all those. So
what a great, like I grew up with Gunsmoke and Bonanza with my great grandmother.
Yeah,
like that's what she would watch. And How Green Was My Valley or whatever something that was. That.
Yeah.
Something about the valley, Big Valley. Oh, such a good one. So I grew up with those. And then Nick at Night. I mean, that's where I saw Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler Moore. And oh my. Yeah. And then Sanford.
All of those. Carol Burnett Show. And they have a Carol Burnett Show channel on Pluto TV, which they just play nothing but reruns of the Carol Burnett Show.
That would be amazing.
It's amazing.
I love her so much.
And then children and teenagers were watching television shows such as Lassie, Underdog, Skyhawks, don't know what that is, and Josie and the Pussycats. And popular toys at the moment included Operation, still pretty popular.
I read something that was like, is no one else concerned that he's awake?
Right.
They have a really good point. This is terrifying. Go on.
The Chrissy doll. I remember hearing about this. I don't. And then Nerf balls were a big thing. And the card game Uno was big then. Yeah.
I love me some Uno.
I do too. I love Uno Attack.
Oh my God. That is
when it spits out the cards.
That is anxiety inducing. That really is.
It's fun. All right. That's all I've got. How about we take a break and we'll start talking about the movie?
Sounds good.
Popular radio show host Dave Garver becomes restless in his relationship with his girlfriend. Impulsively, he goes out and sleeps with a woman he meets at a nightclub. After the fact, he finds out she was not an anonymous hookup, but an obsessive fan who was called in repeatedly to request he play the song Misty. Garver soon discovers extricating himself from the woman will be no easy feat as she becomes increasingly psychotic.
So good.
So, Play Misty for Me released on October 20th, 1971. According to Wikipedia, the script was originally conceived by a woman named Jo Himes, a former model and dancer turned secretary, and then was polished by Dean Reisner and directed by Clint Eastwood. And this was actually Clint Eastwood's directorial debut. It starred Clint Eastwood as radio DJ Dave Garver, Jessica Walters as his psychotic number one fan, Evelyn, and then a very stoic Donna Mills as his girlfriend, Toby. So if you don't know who Clint Eastwood is, you must have just been born like within the last 10, 15 years. He ruled the box office back in the late 60s through the 70s. Yeah. I mean, I feel that he would be in at least 1 to 2 movies every year through the 70s at least. Yeah. In the late 60s, he was in several Westerns such as A Fistful of Dollars, The Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Which is one of the best Western movies, I have to say. I'm sure I've
seen these because my dad was obsessed with Clint Eastwood and John Wayne Westerns.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I hate John Wayne. But yeah, his spaghetti Westerns were huge. Yeah.
Hang 'em High was another one. Coogan's Bluff, Paint Your Wagon, and Two Mules
My brother's
for Sister
favorite movie.
Sarah. And I think Two Mules for Sister Sarah, was that the one? Which one was with, didn't he do one with, what's her name? Shirley MacLaine. Wasn't she in Two Mules for Sister Sarah?
I never saw it or heard of it.
It's a nun. I thought she was in that with him. Maybe not.
You have to include that Paint Your Wagon was a musical.
That's right.
It is a musical.
Is it a good musical?
No. My brother, though, is obsessed with that movie. That is one of his top 5 movies of all time. And whenever I'm like, suggest a musical, like, oh my God, you need to watch, like way back when, Chicago. I'm sorry, did you say Paint Your Wagon? No. Well, then I'm not watching it. Paint Your Wagon is what he holds every movie musical to.
Of it too?
Yes.
A movie musical of it?
Yes.
Wait, was it originally a musical?
Yes.
So Clint Eastwood singing.
Clint Eastwood is in a movie musical called Paint Your Wagon.
I thought you said they made a musical of the movie because I remember hearing about that. But has it ever been on stage?
Yes, it has.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm obviously so confused.
I know. And I'm double checking myself just to make sure because yes.
Does he sing? Okay, now I have to watch this just to see.
It's by Lerner and Lowe. Like this was a musical. Okay. Let me see if he sang. I do have to look this up. Oh, yeah, you did.
I feel like he would just be talk singing.
He had 3 songs.
Okay.
I Still See Elisa. I Talk to the Trees.
There's something wrong with you, buddy.
And Gold Fever.
Okay.
So.
All righty. Well, I feel like I have to watch that now just because I have to see if it's a train wreck or not.
I know.
But then after, he was still doing Westerns in the 70s, but then he also did a lot of Dirty Harry movies where he played a detective named Harry Callahan. And then he's been in and directed a shit ton of other movies and won Academy Awards for Unforgiven and $1 Million Baby, both in the directing category.
Yes.
Now, Jessica Walters is probably best known for playing Lucille Bluth in Arrested Development.
I cannot believe this was the same person.
Stark contrast between the two characters, obviously. But in my opinion, she made this movie.
Absolutely.
I mean, the movie itself, the script was pretty strong, but I felt like Clint Eastwood was kind of dull. All he did was just
so pointless. I'm sorry.
But then Donna Mills, who played Toby, was just very pointless. Stoic and like they needed a fire lit under their ass to meet the energy that Jessica Walters provided.
Ooh.
But Donna Mills was probably best known for playing Abby on Knots Landing.
Mm-hmm.
So this film is rated R, has a runtime of 1 hour and 42 minutes. It has an 85% critic score and is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes and a 72% audience score.
I'm actually surprised by that. This
Really?
is the type of movie that I feel like would be low on the critic, but really high on the audience.
Yeah, and I think if it had been released now, it probably would have been that way. But back then, this concept was new. We hadn't seen all of the psycho, crazy, obsessive love type movies.
Yeah, this is true.
Back and then. So it was something new that the critics were like, oh, this is fresh. I haven't seen it before. Roger Ebert said, there is no purpose to a suspense thriller, I suppose, except to involve us, scare us, to give us moments of vicarious terror. Play Misty for me does that with an almost cruel efficiency. So the film had a budget of $950,000.
Wow.
It grossed $133,000 in its first weekend and went on to gross $10.6 million in the US and Canada.
Ooh.
Jessica Walters would go on to be nominated in the category of Best Actress Drama at the 1972 Golden Globes, but she didn't win. I didn't write down who did because I am awesome at doing my research.
We're terrible this week.
I did these as soon as we picked the movie, like a couple of days later, I'll sit down and just put my basic notes together. Then I watch the movie and fill it in. And evidently I told myself when I did it, I'll come back and fill this in. And then I didn't.
Right. Yeah. No, I can't really get on you because I've done that 100 times before.
I need to start reviewing my notes like the day or right before we record just to see if there are any holes in them.
Yes.
Get better about that. But I couldn't find a list.
I should make sure I do notes.
Yeah, or you watch the movies. I couldn't find a list of the top 10 movies this week. Box Office Mojo only goes back to 1977.
Oh, damn.
I know, but I was able to find some other movies that released this month. So we had The Last Picture Show, which opened October 2nd, 1971. I remember watching that movie several years ago and was just like in love with it. I watched it again like maybe a month ago and I was like, this is kind of boring.
That's on our top 100, but that's like a young Sybil Shepherd and Jeff Bridges.
Yep.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good story. Cloris, I mean, there's some good characters in there. It's just the movie feels very it doesn't really feel like it goes anywhere.
What's going on? Like we're talking about my brother's favorite movies between Paint Your Wagon and Last Picture Show.
Yeah. And I remember sitting down and watching it with my aunt and uncle because this was big when they were in high school.
Right.
And they rented it and my friend and I were going to go do something, but we were sitting there talking to them. They started the movie and we just got so engrossed in the movie that we never went and saw the other movie we were planning on going to.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad movie. It just didn't have the same impact on me the second time I watched it as it did the first. The Pink Panther also opened on October 20th, 1971. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we had The French Connection that opened on October 7th. And Disney's Bed Knobs and Broomsticks opened on the 7th of October as well. Love that movie. I need to start adding some of the classic Disneys to my top 15 because loved them. All right. So initial thoughts on the movie. You hadn't seen this before.
No, I had never seen this before. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
It was great because of Evelyn.
Right. I mean, it's Jessica very 70s.
That is why. Oh, yeah. It's totally 70s.
Like the shots, the music,
Yes.
But had she made the movie.
And wasn't this like her first big thing?
I think it was.
I mean, he kind of put her on the map with this one.
Yeah, the producers didn't want her. They wanted someone else. Who was it? They wanted Lee Remick to be cast in the role of Evelyn.
She would have been amazing as well.
And then some accounts have it that
Sandra took a chance on her.
Who? Sandra Locke. She used to do a ton of stuff with Clint Eastwood back in the day. She did lots of movies with him. But then, no, they say that that's never been formally proven.
Oh, okay.
Just that Sandra Locke said he wanted her because she basically did everything with him back in the day. Yeah.
So I really did love it because you had said, I think last week you had said that this is kind of like Fatal Attraction, which it absolutely is. Fatal Attraction, except there's not a child involved and they're not married. That's the only difference. And there's no bunny, which I did appreciate. But there were a couple of things. Well, one big thing that I liked more in Fatal Attraction that we can get into. But I mean, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion. I think you think the same as I do. She kind of kicks Glenn Close's ass.
She does.
As far as the crazy factor goes.
Yeah. I mean, she went with it. And I feel like this was more like Fatal Attraction was kind of a slow burn, like a slow build.
Right.
Whereas in this one, she sinks in her claws and she does not let go. Like she is 100% in love with him after the first fuck. Like
what I'm a little nervous about is that I related to her so hard.
Oh, God.
Like more than Glenn Close. I was like, bitch, like I couldn't boil a bunny. I wouldn't be able to like do that to a family with a child and stuff.
Right.
This one was like, girl, I kind of get you, which concerns me.
So the premise of the movie is we have Clint Eastwood plays this popular radio DJ. He often gets this woman calling in saying, play Misty for me. And Misty is a song by someone, I don't know.
Some jazz song.
Yeah. So he also, on his show, he shares a lot of poetry and introspective hippy dippy stuff. But he also often talks up this bar that he likes to go to. Mm-hmm. Well, one night after the show, he goes over to his favorite bar. He's talking to the bartender. There's a woman sitting there by herself. She allegedly is waiting for a man to show up. He strikes up a conversation with her.
He does show up.
Right. He strikes up a conversation with her, ends up taking her back to his place. Now, meanwhile, he
goes to her place.
He went to her place. Yeah.
Yeah.
They go back to her place. They do the do. And then he leaves. So it's kind of like a one night stand because he does have a girlfriend already.
Yes.
And then she shows up at his house and she keeps showing up. And that's basically all there is to it. She just will not let go.
Well, the big one was when she showed up at that lunch. That was my favorite crazy scene.
That was
my favorite. And I want to reenact it so badly. That was amazing.
See, if only you were in a theater class right now, you could reenact that scene. But can we just talk about the hairdos? I mean, especially the women's cut. I don't know what women in 1971 were thinking, because it literally looked like they had a dead animal on their head.
It was so popular, though.
And
I look at pictures of my mom from then, and that is what everyone was doing.
Yes.
It's psychotic.
It was like combed straight down.
Yes.
And then longer pieces over your ears.
Yep.
And then it was like chunky because there would be layers, like a mullet layer, and then another longer layer underneath that.
Right.
Literally looked like they have roadkill on their head. I was just like, ew.
Yeah.
So what would you have done if you, first of all, here's a question. Have you ever met someone that you didn't know at a bar and then went home with them or brought them home with you to fuck?
Not that I didn't know already.
Right. I haven't either.
But I do know people who have. I mean,
yeah, it just seems so weird to me. Like I have met dangerous. I met people at a bar and we've struck up a conversation and then we shared phone numbers. And then there was further conversation, dinners before there was ever any wieners coming out.
Right.
But like this seemed, I started thinking about, back then, they didn't have the internet because I didn't really start dating until chat rooms were a thing because I didn't know how to meet guys anyway.
Right.
But back then, people didn't have the internet. They didn't have apps. If they were super lonely, they would take out an ad in the newspaper, in the personal section at the back of a newspaper, or you met at bars.
Yeah.
And so that was how you hooked up.
Yeah.
So what would you have done had you hooked up with someone at a bar? You think they're there looking for someone else. You hit it off. You go home, you fuck. And then they tell you, oh, actually, I came here because I knew you came here.
Yeah. Stalker.
That would be when I'd be like,
but weirdly flattered. I definitely don't think we would fuck again.
Right.
Yeah. So stalker, but like, damn, I got fans.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. But then,
I don't think I'd want to hang out with him though.
No. And then the next day he goes home and she shows up at his house. Not only shows up at his house, but with groceries. Like she's going to make some.
No, that is then absolute stalker. No.
And he let her in. He let her into his house, let her make dinner for him.
Yes.
And then they fucked again.
You know, he got a free meal.
And
he had a fan. There's an ego there. That's the problem. Totally. Is that I don't have that ego.
No.
That he has. So there's no way I would go for that. But I mean, he's got this girl and she's not unattractive by any means. She's quite attractive. Beautiful woman.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's got this beautiful woman like obsessed with him and saying, let me do this and this and this for you. And it's Clint Eastwood.
Right.
You know,
but then
he's going to have like
this
massive ego.
And he's got this girlfriend already that I couldn't tell if she had been out of town and then came back or if they were just on a break, what the deal was.
It felt like a break, didn't it? He just seemed like completely disinterested in her.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's back with her. He shows up at her house. They left to go for a walk to talk. Did you notice that she left the blowtorch going? Like she was doing some art with a blowtorch.
Yes.
And she set it down. And he's like, can we go for a walk? And she's like, sure. And they leave. And I'm like, girl, turn off the torch.
Burn your house down. That is one of those situations. Like there's some editing that I notice more in older. I feel like they pay a little more attention now. But there's been, except for Game of Thrones and the Starbucks cup. But there's like, that was one of those. They had obviously done the rest of the scene later and didn't like say, hey, you should turn off your blowtorch.
So he leaves, he talks to her. It seems like they're going to get back together because, again, Evelyn was just a piece of ass that he had on 2 different occasions. But then she shows up at his house in nothing but a bathrobe.
Drops it,
gives him a titty flash. Then rather than sending her away, he takes her into his house.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, dude,
why wouldn't you?
You are kind of bringing this on yourself.
I mean, it's hard to feel bad for him.
Yeah. At this point.
Like you're making the decisions to do this, buddy. You're dumb.
Yep. So then later on, he's I don't remember. So she stayed the night that night. Then did he send her home?
I think he sent her home.
And he promised, okay, yeah, we'll get together again.
Yeah.
So then she tells him, okay, well, how about we get together on Thursday? And he says, yeah, I'll let you know. So he does the radio show. Does the radio show. She calls him because he didn't show up and she's freaking out. He goes over there to her house. This was one of my favorite lines. What am I supposed to do? Just sit here in my whore suit and wait for you?
Oh my God. I want to find a situation where I can say that. Just sit in my whore suit.
In my whore suit and wait for you. Then when he goes to leave, she says, you're not dumping me, Buster Blue Eyes.
Yes. Oh my God, girl. This is where the script, like, you've now jumped the shark, buddy.
Right. So
you weren't even good in bed, bastard.
So he leaves, I guess thinking, okay, dodged a bullet, even though he kept going back for the poon and got it to this point. She goes to his house, freaks out, tries to kill herself.
Yep.
Here's one question I have.
Wrists.
He slashes her wrist. And he calls a doctor to come over to his house to suture her rather than taking her to the hospital and say, the bitch is cray.
Right.
She tried to kill herself. She keeps showing up at my house. She needs psychiatric care.
Right.
Call the police, file a report. But he doesn't. He brings the doctor to his house to suture her wrists and then lets her stay there and makes her soup.
I swear to God. Again, can't feel bad for him. I don't know if it was more like, I don't want to either A, get her in trouble, or B, feel abandoned. I think that he did at this point, like, feel sorry for her because bitch is crazy.
She is.
But at the same time, you are not thinking of your personal safety and you're not thinking about her.
Right.
And the fact that the woman needs help.
Yeah.
Serious psychiatric help.
Yeah. I feel like he was protecting his ego. Like, if this gets out, people are going to know that this, someone's going to put this in the paper that I have a crazy bitch. But I'm like, that would only help improve your safety, I feel like, because more people would be looking out for you. But again, that ego.
But he's going to look like shit being this DJ and sleeping with a fan over and over. And then her trying to kill herself because he doesn't love her back.
But then, so she's staying at his house. She manages to go away one day while he was out doing something, took his house key and paid 40 cents to make a copy of it.
Yep. Yes. I love it.
And I wrote down, I was like, what? Make a copy of someone else's house key?
Make a copy of someone's key?
No.
Okay.
You have? It's like, okay, now we're at a different level of cray, and we're just going to stop this podcast now.
We're going to stop this now.
And I'm going to call for help.
I have never done that. I've never done that.
That
would be so psychotic.
That is
next
over
level
the top.
Psychotic.
Yeah. So she has a key copied. And I wrote down, why is he letting her stay at his house?
Like, he's letting her stay there.
For many
not
days.
Just like, yes. I mean, I get the overnight, like, I'm going to let her rest. I'm going to let her calm down. Tomorrow we go to a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. I can almost wrap my head around that.
Like,
but this is psychotic.
I could see if he sat down, had a talk with her. He's like, look what she did. Look how you're feeling about me.
Right.
You need some help. Obviously, I want to help you get better. Just kind of talk her down a little bit and then deliver her somewhere. And then he had this job offer in San Francisco. Of course, she kind of fucked it up for him. But I was like, I would have tried to expedite that. Like, get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
At some point, when did she freak out at him? Because he met the woman who was going to hire him for a radio show or a TV show or something in San Francisco. Yes. He was living in Carmel.
Yes. That was before the suicide, wasn't it? Or the suicide attempt?
After. Or maybe it was before. God, I don't remember. I didn't write it down. But so he goes to meet this woman. Yeah, and they're having this conversation. And she storms in. They're on the wharf, like near a bay.
Yes.
Storms down there and calls the old lady. It's this old woman that he's meeting with.
I mean, she has nothing to do with the situation. No. I would be so.
And she's like, thinks he's sleeping with this old woman.
What does she say? Oh, is this your kitsch or something like that?
Goes off on her, goes off on him. He chases her out.
Oh, he drags her the fuck out.
Throws her into a cab.
I thought that was her best scene. She's like on her feet, bending down like a toddler would, trying to stop him from walking. Yep. He's literally fucking dragging her across the parking lot.
She pulled that old, like one time my mom wanted me to go to church, like to like not church, but it was from the Mormon church we had. It was called primary class, and you had them on like Tuesdays.
Okay.
I think she was just wanting to get me the fuck out of the house. So she was sending me with her friend, and I did not want to go. And I went limp in the car. She had to drag me out of the car. I totally wouldn't, I just was dead weight. And she put me into the car, and then I started screaming, and like I was this woman.
Were you leaning out of the car? I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
She almost fell out of that car. Like, she was out because when she got past her waist, I was like, girl, you are going to fall out when that cab takes off.
When it takes, my God, I think you would have been fine with that. She was so brilliant in this scene.
Yes. So he goes back. The woman left. He doesn't get the job, obviously.
Right. Don't blame the woman at all.
He commits her. She goes to the psychiatric house or whatever. Now, at what point did she break back into his house? And this is my question. Did she actually break in, or was it a dream?
No, I think she actually broke in.
Yeah, because he calls a cop and he says so. But then, like, how did she get out of the house so quick? Because he wakes up, she's standing over him with a knife. Yeah. She comes down with a knife. He rolls out of bed and she's gone.
Yeah.
And then he called the cop.
Yeah, she just, I don't know. That's one of those like unrealistic resolutions in those
and
old
I didn't
movies.
really believe that because that's why I thought, well, it must have been a dream.
I thought it happened only because he called the cop.
I thought he called the cop after that. And then that's when she got, I watched this like a week ago. So obviously I didn't put down the correct events or order of events.
I just watched it 2 days ago.
At some point, though, she gets committed to psychiatric care. And so he's feeling better about things. And then he goes and takes a walk with Toby, his girlfriend. Could have done without the music video for First Time Ever I Saw Your Face.
Thank you. I could have done. Is that when they were like making out under the waterfall?
Mm-hmm. And they were fucking in the woods.
I could have done without seeing their. They did not look like two hot people.
No.
At that point.
No.
They were just a mound of flesh. That is something I could have done with. I cannot watch him kiss.
He was worse than the dude in Where the Boys Are kissing Jenny.
Oh my God.
I believed him more than I believed Clint Eastwood.
There are certain people that I love Colin Firth so much. Terrible kisser. Hugh Jackman. I love him. Cannot watch him kiss on screen. Clint Eastwood is the worst.
Yeah. He was bad.
Cannot watch that.
Yep. Oh, I know when she was committed. She broke into his house again and almost murdered his housekeeper.
The house. Yes. Yeah. She's like slashing everything.
Everything.
She totally ransacked the house. Mm-hmm. And that poor, oh my gosh. The blood in this was such a bright red.
I know.
So
I was
dumb.
I Googled, what did they use for blood in Play Misty for Me? And I couldn't get.
It looked like red paint. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it had a little bit of an red
paint.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But that was when she got committed. But then I wrote down here, so your housekeeper was almost murdered by a psycho.
Yeah.
Would you just be nonchalantly walking in the woods and on the ocean, fucking your girlfriend? Like, I would have been traumatized. Someone broke into my house, slashed everything, tried to murder my housekeeper. I would have been focused on moving away. But then
she was committed. Well, he should have been focused on that. But I'd go for a nice romp in the woods. Take my mind off things.
Here's my other thing. Is like, how long was she away? I think that music video was meant to indicate that several days had passed.
Over time, yes.
They went on that walk and did the fucking thing. And then he went to a jazz fest with her.
Well, I know that there's the mandatory 72-hour hold.
Right.
That you have to do. And I assume that in that time they would find her insane. Usually, and don't ask how I know this, but usually it would be up to like 3 weeks and then they'd reevaluate.
Yeah. And it's like,
I've never been in a psychiatric hospital. Let me just say that. I have had friends who have gone to a psychiatric hospital, and that is usually what happens, about 3 weeks.
Because it felt like it was just like a couple of days. Because I felt like she went away. Then as soon as they locked her up and the maid was taken to the hospital, he went over to Toby's. They went for a walk. They fucked in the woods. They slept. They went to the jazz fest the next day. And then he's getting a phone call from her saying, I've been through therapy. Yes. I'm much better and I'm okay. I just want to apologize. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, it may have just been the 72-hour hold.
Who knows? But my question is, even if it was 72 hours, why didn't he change the fucking locks?
Why didn't he change? Thank you.
Yeah.
At this point, you can kind of, I don't think he knew for sure that she had made a copy of his key, but she's been able to get into your house somehow. Mm-hmm. So girl, I mean, I don't know what security systems they had then, but I know you can get a German Shepherd that's very well trained.
Right. Something.
There are some precautions you can take. Yes.
Right.
There are many precautions you can take.
So then.
He was just dumb.
He was
dumb.
After the jazz festival, his girlfriend, Toby, says he needs to leave because her new roommate is moving in.
Mm-hmm.
And her old roommate's moving out. Her new roommate's moving in. He's like, okay, fine. Well, then we find out later, this was a big twist. I'd forgot this.
Yes.
When we find out that the roommate is Evelyn. She had hunted down Toby.
As Annabelle.
She told her name was Annabelle. She moved in.
Well, he had come clean to Toby.
He had. Yep.
He had told her about this woman, that she tried to commit suicide in his house by slashing her wrists, all of that. So his conscience is clean. Yes. He's like, well, I mean, I've done what I need to do.
Mm-hmm. So let's go fuck by the waterfall.
Yep. Let's be mounds of flesh, just like smushed. Gross.
So then he is at work, DJing away. He gets a phone call asking that from Toby, requesting some song, something nice and easy for her and her new roommate, Annabelle. Mm-hmm. Then he starts thinking about a quote that Evelyn gave him when she called to tell him that she was okay. And it was actually a quote from Edgar Allan Poe's poem, Annabelle.
Yeah.
And he realizes, holy shit, new roommate, Annabelle, is actually Evelyn. So he puts on a pre-recorded show that he had done before, gets in his little car, goes zooming over to Toby's. Meanwhile,
finally doing the right thing.
Right. She has tied up Toby, gagged her. He breaks into the house.
Well, and it was great when I did like when Toby realized, because Evelyn was like, this isn't right. His eyes are cold. And she's like, oh, I didn't know. And then she sees the slashes on the wrist. Yep. That was pretty awesome. This was enough time for those to heal.
It was. Yeah. We got to point that out. She no longer needed the bandages.
No, they were like scarred over. Like she's fine.
Yep. She's good. He had called the police. So the police detective dude goes over to the house to check. She kills the policeman with these scissors. Like, were scissors that big back in the 70s?
I think they were. Think about the movie Dead Again.
I don't think I've seen that.
With Kenneth Branagh and Emma Thompson. And
I don't think I've seen it.
Girl, I'm putting it on my list. You need to see that movie. It is incredible. But there were giant scissors. And I do remember my grandmother having giant scissors.
Yeah, I'm like, they looked like the kind that people use to cut a ribbon at like a ribbon cutting ceremony. They were huge.
They were humongous. But I remember, I don't know that I remember them being that big, but they're like in Dead Again, the woman's obsessed with scissors. And you'll find out why, but there were all sizes. So they're good. Why they were at Toby's place, I don't know.
Like they were like hedge trimmers.
Yeah. But Toby was the artist, right?
She was.
Yeah. So maybe it was something for her art. I don't know.
But she's going crazy after she kills the policeman. She's shredding the photo. Like she kept shredding that. They kept showing the same scene over and over with her stabbing the picture. So I'm like, you've already stabbed that place.
Yes.
It's already done.
We can't keep doing this. Yeah.
While he's getting there as quick as he can, he goes up, he finds the dead policeman, he walks through the house, he finds Toby, and then Evelyn comes up behind him, tries to stab him with the big ass hedge trimmer scissors. He gets stabbed several times. This is what bothered me though about the end. There was no sound effect. No tension in the music. No music at all.
It was just very anticlimactic.
It was. Because I feel
that's what I was saying about Fatal Attraction. Alex's death scene in that is awesome. And it is so intense, the whole the final part. They did Evelyn wrong. Yeah. She deserved a lot more.
Went very quick. Like she just kept stabbing. There are no sting. Like I just keep thinking Psycho was out by then. So the which became really popular and the music was really good in that movie to help build the tension. There was nothing. There was hardly any sound at all. Several stabs, a few where is she? Is she going to come out and get me? And then he pushes her off the balcony and she falls off.
And that's
the
it.
Cliff. And that was it.
Did you say that this won Best Music?
No.
Oh, it didn't win Best Score.
No,
Why
it didn't
did
win
I
anything.
think it had?
No, I don't know.
Oh, what did I hear? Okay.
I was talking about Love
something
Story.
else. That's right. Sorry. Never mind.
No, I was like, there was no score in this, really.
Okay. That's why I was like, I'm really surprised it won that. No, that was Love Story. That's right. I blocked that part out.
And then all of a sudden the movie was over.
Yes.
So that's what I feel like a more climactic ending would have made this movie pretty much perfect. Granted, it was still, there were some editing things, but it was the 70s. So
all of it was forgivable.
Yeah.
Just because of Evelyn.
Yes.
But she deserved a better ending.
She did.
Very dramatic. God, think about what the dramatic death she could have done.
Oh, I know. Well,
damn.
I feel like it just needed more building, more music, more tension.
More tension.
We built up to this scene that was literally like maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Like we needed something more tense. Yeah.
Yep.
Better screenwriter.
Totally agree.
Maybe. Better director, maybe. But you could tell this was his first time.
Yes, for sure. I mean, he definitely got better.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a break, and then we'll come back for a little bit more.
Okay.
All right. So a few fun facts about the movie. It was set in Carmel by the Sea, California. Mm-hmm. Funny
Did you recognize the bridge from like Big Little Lies?
Big Little Lies.
And so,
I kind of want to live there. Of course.
God, that would be amazing.
The earthquakes.
I don't think I ever could, but yeah.
But this was also the city where Clint Eastwood would later become the mayor. I forgot that he was a mayor
Yes, I totally forgot that.
So Clint Eastwood had obtained the rights to the song Misty after he saw Errol Garner perform it at the Concord Music Festival in 1970. He also paid $2,000 for the use of the song The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face by Roberta Flack for that long-ass sex scene.
Music video scene. Ugh.
According to a website, Kenneth and the 212 pulled a few more things from there. Gene Shepard claimed that Play Misty for Me was based on a real-life incident in which he was stalked by a female fan, which culminated in her trying to stab him.
Oh, damn.
Also read that Steve McQueen turned down the lead role, claiming that the female lead was stronger than the male, which is true. But I'm like, why does
ego?
I wonder if this was before Clint Eastwood was offered because I doubt that he wanted something that he could direct and star in.
Yes.
So this must have been before they offered it to Clint Eastwood to direct and star in. So,
yeah.
Clint Eastwood also said he had an experience similar to this in real life about 21 years before this film. So in 1950, when an ex-girlfriend stalked him and threatened to commit suicide after he had broken up with her.
Mm-hmm.
Both Fatal Attraction and Misery drew heavily on Play Misty for Me in developing their plot lines. Obviously, Fatal Attraction had the story of the affair that went wrong, where Misery went with the story of a deranged fan terrorizing her idol.
So is that where Stephen King got it?
I guess, or maybe just some of the from when they
some of the moments
version,
that they
and this just might be this author's assumption.
Yeah.
Also,
there are similarities no matter what.
At the end of the movie, when Evelyn is seen floating in the sea, that is actually Jessica Walter. Wasn't a stand-in or a body double. She went down there and floated for that shot.
I'm not surprised. That woman was committed.
Mm-hmm. So what I want to do, let's remake this.
Okay.
We're going to recast it for today. So first thing I want to talk about, would you remove or add any scenes?
I mean, I would remove the music video.
Right.
For sure. I don't know that I would remove any others only because most of them were Evelyn. I don't want to take any of those away.
Yeah.
As far as adding, I mean, just it's more prolonging the death.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big scene I would change.
Yeah.
But adding ones, I mean, you could have shown me her crazies all day and I would have been 4 hours of crazy. I would have loved it.
Yeah, I would have cut the extended walk sex scene music video.
Yes.
And, Jazz Fest was fine, but I would have done something to show the passage of time. So you actually knew how long Evelyn was put away.
That's very true. And you know what's funny with that is that's something that never, ever bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
But in the other podcast that I'm doing with Conrad, that always bothers him. Is the passage of time. Right. I easily forgive it for whatever reason. But I will say in this movie, I was very much aware
right.
of the kind of lack of continuity.
Yeah. So I'll give you my cast and then you can give me yours.
Okay.
So I want to totally flip it like race on its head. I'm going to cast your boy Idris Elba as Dave.
Not a terrible idea at all.
And I want to put Tandy Newton as Toby.
Tandy Newton?
Tandiwa. Yeah, she was in Westworld.
Who is she in Westworld?
She's a Black woman. She's beautiful. She was in Beloved with Oprah.
With Oprah. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. She played Beloved.
Okay, I need to look her up.
Yeah, you'll know her as soon as you see her. But I want to see this person play crazy.
Oh my gosh. Of course. Oh, I didn't know she was going by that now.
It's Tandiwa now.
Yeah, it used to be Tandy. Oh my God. I love her. So you would put her as Toby?
As Toby, because I want to see, I feel like she would be able to give her a little more, because Toby was kind of dead in this one. She would give her some more depth. True. But I want to see Viola Davis as Evelyn. I want to see her.
You don't think she's too old?
Crazy. I think they're all kind of older. She plays.
See, I cast the women much younger. Mm-hmm. And I cast him older. I went by what their ages were when these three made the movie.
See, I wanted it to be a little bit older because I feel like it makes it a little more desperate. Because maybe it's just from my own dating experiences now. I feel like when people get into their 40s and 50s and they're still single and they desperately don't want to be, it makes them even more clingy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
It might also give a little opportunity to do some more backstory on Evelyn and maybe have another incident where this happened or something that may have even pushed her further over the edge to make her more desperate.
Yeah. I like that. I do like that. That's a good cast. I wish I had thought about the diversity. And obviously Idris Elba is brilliant.
Right. And I feel like he'd give a little more depth. Was he in
that movie, that Beyonce movie? Was that him?
Oh, I don't know.
Beyonce and Ali Larder. Yeah.
I don't remember who was in that.
Beyonce. I'm looking that up real quick.
I want to say it was Omar.
Obsessed. Obsessed was the film. It was Idris Elba.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. So obviously this kind of movie works for him.
Right.
Yeah. I love that about Viola Davis. That's really good. And what Tandiwa, is that what she goes by now? Mm-hmm. She would also be, you could flip those roles.
Yeah.
And they'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I had thought about, I didn't cast it this way, but I was also like, it'd be kind of interesting to see a gender flip.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be really interesting. But I did not do that. I kind of cast, like I said, with the ages of these people and similar styles. These people, except, Toby is better. So for Dave, I had three that could easily do it. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
And Oscar Isaac.
Okay. I would like to see Jake Gyllenhaal.
I think Jake Gyllenhaal would be really good. I was trying to picture someone like who I would believe as a DJ.
Right.
Honestly, that's what I was trying to pick.
Right. That's not super hot because a lot of DJs aren't.
No.
They have a face made for radio.
Thank you.
I don't know what that says about us.
Well,
But he's still
We're on YouTube.
He's enough to be like he's attractive. He's just not hot. So that makes it, I can see.
And I feel like he can play kind of any kind of, like he'll go all the way. Like he's like an Evelyn. He'll go all the way into a role. So Jake Gyllenhaal. Okay, let's keep Evelyn. Aubrey Plaza all the way.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Totally insane.
Have you seen Ingrid Goes West?
No, but I want to.
Yeah,
is it good?
It's good. Uh-huh.
Oh my, I love Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, she's great.
And her wild eyes, she'd be amazing in that part. And then Toby, I was like, we need someone kind of, I mean, like she cannot outshine Evelyn.
Right. But she needs you need to make her empathetic. Like I didn't feel anything for her in this. Yeah.
I was thinking, so the three I put down were Emma Watson.
Okay.
Emilia Clarke.
Okay.
Or Brie Larson.
Okay.
I like all three of those.
Yeah.
I think out of those three, I would see Emilia Clarke the most.
Oh, see, I'd go Brie Larson, I think.
I love Brie Larson.
With Jake Gyllenhaal, yeah.
That actually works better.
Yeah.
And then you got crazy Aubrey Plaza. And you also have that blonde against the dark hair.
Yep.
You know, kind of. So, yeah, that's who I went for. I didn't cast like the sergeant or
I didn't
anyone else.
Right.
No, but that's who I put down.
Awesome.
I think both our casts work.
Mm-hmm. I'd probably go Octavia Spencer for the housekeeper.
Oh,
rather than make her the housekeeper, I think I'd make her like Idris Elba's sister or something that came by to see him.
I like that.
Evelyn went crazy on her. Yeah.
Really like that. I'd honestly like to see some interracial. Like I could go with Idris Elba and Aubrey Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
Because the total crazy psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
just want to see Viola Davis play Cray. Because she's always in a more positive role. I just want to see her just lose her fucking
shit. She's in the positive and the emotional role. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I want to see like the anger and the psycho. I think that is a great idea. Oh
awesome.
God.
So that is Play Misty for me. I would highly recommend checking it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to rent or buy it, but it's worth the money.
It is. When I saw I had to rent it, I was like, damn it. This better be good. And I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yes. I actually bought it because I remember enjoying it the first time I watched it. Yeah.
I forgot you had actually watched it before.
All right. Are we ready for some trivia?
Okay. Oh, crap. I forgot about that. Okay, hold on.
Right.
Oh, please say this isn't 70s trivia because I don't know.
No, I pulled just one card from my 80s deck, one card from my 90s deck, and I'll just give you random 5 questions.
Okay.
All right. Are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
What soundtrack to a Kevin Costner flick was the top-selling album of the 1990s in the United States?
Robin Hood. Bull Durham. Shit. Tin Cup. What was it?
The Bodyguard.
Oh, I'm so dumb. I am so dumb.
I thought sure you were going to get that one.
Damn it. Oh, I am mad at myself over that one. Okay, go on.
All right. In Back to the Future, the name of what fashion designer was printed on Marty McFly's underwear, leading Lorraine to think that was his name?
Oh, Calvin Klein.
Yes.
Yes.
Let the timer run out.
Okay. Oh, thank God I got that one. Oh my God. This stresses me out.
All right. Next one.
Mm-hmm.
Which computer company, originally named PCs Limited, introduced its first new computer in 1985, the Turbo PC?
Microsoft. Apple. I don't know.
Dell.
Dell. Oh my God.
All right.
As I look at my Dell computer behind this. Okay, go on. Okay.
You should get this one.
Okay.
What animal?
Don't tell me that because now I'm not going to get it. Okay, what?
What animal would often laugh at you if you had a bad round in the video game Duck Hunt?
Oh shit. Oh well, who would laugh at you? The duck. The dog. The dog.
The dog. Yes.
Dog. Okay.
You're just hyena. Before I even told you where it was laughing at you.
Okay, go on.
Okay. So you've got 2.
Yeah. Is there just one more?
Last one.
Okay.
What fighting game debuted in arcades in 1992, introducing gamers to Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Sonya Blade, and Johnny Cage?
Soul Calibur. Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
It's like Aaron.
Oh, thank God. Okay. That wasn't bad.
She got 3. Okay.
It's so stressful.
All right. Before we're done, Time to spin that wheel to find out what my next movie will be. We're only spinning once because it's from my personal list of 15. Yes. So once Aaron shuffles, go ahead and spin.
I have a couple on these that I really hope it is. And then a couple that I really hope it's not. Oh, what? The Last Unicorn.
Okay. That was my replacement from last week. So, all right.
Oh, that's going to be hard to watch, Odell. That's going to be hard to watch.
I haven't seen that movie in forever, but I used to be obsessed with
the
that
last
movie.
time I saw it was high school. I saw it once.
Yeah.
And
you've only seen it once?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
I loved it when I was a kid. I was obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And then I saw it again in high school, wondering, I wonder if I would cry again. Yes, I did. So I'm going to make my kids watch it with me. Get their reactions.
Okay. So next week we'll be back with The Lost Boys. I'm very much looking forward to rewatching that. And then 2 weeks from now, The Last Unicorn. Have a great week. Don't forget to check out our playlists and check out our other podcasts. I have a book-related podcast, Just Read It Already, which drops new episodes on Mondays. And then Aaron and Conrad have another movie-focused podcast that drops on Tuesdays. Here's Drinking With You Kids. So check that out. Until then, we will see you next week.
Don't be stabby.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening. Please be sure to tell all of your friends about us, especially any fellow Gen Xers.
And don't forget to follow us on social media and your favorite podcast app. And be sure you're set to auto download so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, leave us a 5-star rating.
Don't forget to visit backwherewebelong.com to gain access to our ultimate playlists, pick up some merch, and do a deeper dive into all of our episodes. Thanks again.
We'll see you next week.